I'm 100% certain that we are not doing enough. We're not understanding. The government is no way in touch with mental health.
The head of a national restaurant chain has been selling all his beloved sports memorabilia to help raise awareness and funds for Lifeline, a company that helped him through dark times 10 years ago and who have been dealing with a huge increase in calls due to COVID lockdown craziness. Now, Rami, before we get into your fundraiser, you're the head of a national restaurant. How is business going and how have you and your family been coping during this tough time?
It's tough times for everyone. We're just trying to survive. There's so much pressure with homeschooling, and I've got 4 kids. I've got a 13-year-old girl who's first year in high school, and I've got an 8, a 7, and a 6. The last one being a boy. It's really, really tough, honestly, mate. Even their mental health, it's something that really concerns me at the moment. You start thinking like, when you're growing up at that age, you need friends around you. You need what we had at school. They're missing out on that. So we're doing our best, but we'll get there.
Yeah, lots of time on their devices at home.
100%, which is again a worry, but anyway, but we'll keep on fighting.
Now, what about business? Have you had grants from the government? Are your restaurants open in New South Wales at the moment?
Absolutely. Look, from day one, from 18 months ago when the pandemic first set in, we're a 100% dining business, and I refuse it. So the co-founder is my wife. And so Richay's is sort of part of our family, if you like. It's not just a business. It's something that we've grown up with. We wouldn't know life without it. So the government said we had the place for dining. I wasn't going to accept that answer. And we went to dining. We went to delivery and takeaway. And that same day, we pivoted our business, and we just had to. And I worked out a way, and things have happened over the last 18 months. Yeah. So in regards to the second part of the question, the grants, there's plenty of grants coming in from the government. They're hard to follow because I've got restaurants in different states. I've got restaurants in the ACT, Queensland, New South Wales, Victoria. It's a challenge because they all have different regulations, different time of grants, and we're probably missing out on a lot because we can't keep up, and it is what it is,
Yeah, and actually I saw that footage of you getting arrested recently. We'll have a look at that.
We're not getting that phone.
We're getting you the ID. Yeah, why is he on the rest? We've already spoken. No. Put his sitting down. I'm getting you the ID.
But looking back on that, how do you think you responded to that? I mean, it looked like an extremely stressful situation for you.
Look, 100%. It was a stressful situation. It's not just a stressful situation for me, for the police, for all the frontline service people, I guess. And, if I had my time over again, I think I could have handled myself a lot better. But in saying that, I'm not apologising in any way. I think I could have handled myself. We all learn. We all learn from situations. And what happened that day, I guess, happened.
Yeah. And we're seeing a lot of businesses, come in with this no jab, no job policy. Do you think you'll end up doing that with your business? I mean, we're kind of getting pushed towards this scenario that we have no choice. We can't live unless we're vaccinated is what I'm feeling. What are your thoughts around that?
Look, my thoughts is, at the end of the day, I'm a restaurateur. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. So I do believe in listening to the experts. I'll be frank, I've taken my first jab. But to force any human being to do something they don't want to, I do have a problem with that. But again, that's where I'll leave it up to, where my position stands 100%. I really don't know. I'm going to still sit on the fence, but I could tell you what my values are, and it's always followed. I follow the experts, and that's what's made me successful over the last 23 years. So, and the experts are telling me to get jabbed at the moment. So I'll cross my fingers and hope that's the right decision.
Yeah, fingers crossed. But in all seriousness, we're seeing a lot of high-functioning, successful men and women struggling with their mental health at the moment, people who are really successful, seeing their businesses struggling. Do you think the government's doing enough to address this?
No, look, absolutely not. I think 100, I won't sit on the fence on this one. I'm 100% certain that we are not doing enough. We're not understanding. The government is no way in touch with mental health. You know what? Mental health is such a it's a challenging thing. And I'd hate to go out there on a limb and say it. I've suffered mental health. I understand. And I understand when I was speaking to very intelligent people, including doctors, and when I was going through it, and I had an EQ to understand they didn't get what I was going through. Mental health is such a challenge. You can't see it. You know, you can see somebody with a broken arm, you can see somebody with a broken leg, but what's going on between those two ears, and the severity of mental illness is really underestimated. And I think it's underestimated globally. It's underestimated by everyone. I don't think the government doesn't want to do enough. I just don't think they have a true understanding of what it is. And sorry, I don't want to go too long on this answer, but you find that people who struggle with mental health are usually, you know, if you're a government person who's made it high and is a fighter and highly educated and know how to treat yourself, and I don't know, and I'm not, but I think maybe there's less of that mental health problem. I don't want to stereotype here than the battlers who are doing it a bit tougher, you know, financially or whatever it might be. Sorry if I'm wrong, but that's how I feel.
Yeah, in one of your TikTok videos, you actually said that you were broken. I mean, what does that look like for you, and how could the government have stepped in and helped you at that point? Or are you someone who you just know how to help yourself and you go ahead and do it?
Yeah. Look, I'm quite thankful for what I've gone through. I'm quite thankful, you know how things happen in our life, and the fact that I went through some very hard times 10 years ago, and, you know, I had some dark moments 10 years ago. I think that's helped me sort of work through the moments today, be able to manage myself. I think some of us are more obviously open or more susceptible to mental health. And the fact that I went through those dark times, I think I'm able to help myself, and I could see it in people more. You know, like when you've suffered something yourself, it's easier to see it in other people. And that's sort of been my job, you know, to sort of keep where I feel I'm sort of adding a lot to my staff and to my organisation at the moment, is I'm seeing it in people and I'm trying to help them out. And to your second part of the question is what the government could have done. Again, I'm no expert. I just like it to be addressed a little bit more. You know, 11 a.m., we listen to the 11 a.m. or the 11:30 or the 12 o'clock, whether by Anastasia, Dan, or Gladys, and it's very much focused on the health of the hospitals and the ICU and all that, because that's where their challenge is. That's where they're getting judged at the moment. You know, yes, but there's a lot more they could do. And I wish I had the answer, but there needs to be maybe a department, somebody who's actually focused specifically on mental health.
So what's mental health stories have you heard from people who are stuck in lockdown?
Yeah, look, there's been so many, you know, and mainly, like, you know, one story that comes to mind is the hairdresser. I've got a hairdresser who got in touch with me, and she was at the verge of like very, very dark moments. You know, her business is gone. She as she explained to me, she goes, my hairdressing salon is where people come to get what do you call it?
Offload.
Yeah, where they offload, or where they come and see, we're a psychologist to them, we're a psychiatrist to them. And not only that, she said to me, they're a psychologist and a psychologist to us. So just if we just zone in just on that one person, you know, in one hairdressing salon, you know, and what people focus, even my barber, you know, that I go to, I guess I offload things. And people are really, really struggling. People are really, really struggling, as you know.
Yeah. So tell me about your fundraiser. You're selling your sports memorabilia, trying to raise $100,000 for Lifeline. Why Lifeline? Why did you choose Lifeline, and how is that fundraiser going?
Okay, so Lifeline is who helped me 10 years ago, and I never thought 10 years ago I'd be in a position to sort of pay back. And in all honesty, the way it come, you know, I saw my 13-year-old daughter, who's first year in year 7, and she was walking down the stairs at home, and I could just see through her eyes. I could just see like she's battling mentally, you know, and that broke my heart. I come to work and I seen all my memorabilia, and I thought, what can I be doing? What can I do mentally for people's, like, how can I create awareness? It wasn't about the amount of money. I don't think I could create enough money maybe to help, but awareness. And I thought, you know, this is something that's precious to me. But if I put it out there and create a night where we create mental awareness of mental health, maybe that will go a long way. And if it saves one person, well, I've done my job. I've contributed to society.
Yeah, and I think Lifeline has experienced a huge increase in calls lately, haven't they? So I'm sure they will love the awareness and the funds that you're raising.
Absolutely. So they're taking more than 1,000 calls a day. And I heard the last week, one day alone, they took 3.4 thousand calls. And not only that, now we're hearing of children. We're hearing of children who are calling Lifeline, kids. Again, I'll give you another example of, I've got an 8-year-old daughter. And again, I think, how is she growing up? What is she going? She's putting pressure on her 13-year-old sister. And I only had this conversation with her today, to the 13-year-old sister. And I said, you've got a duty here. And I know you're struggling, but your sister, your 8-year-old sister is not living life the way it's supposed to be. She's stuck at home.
Especially at 13, that's a tough age, isn't it?
Absolutely. First year in year 7, and they're everywhere, all around the country, those young kids. And look, the kids are resilient, right? But we still got to keep an eye out. We still got to be very, very careful.
Yeah, I can't fathom what it's like being a child going through this strange time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time. And do you have any pieces left? Is there a place people can go to have a look?
Look, I think we've got a couple of pieces, but I think we've done our piece. I think we've done our bit. It's not so much for that. I just want to thank everyone who contributed on that Friday night. I mean, it was a great night. And the fact that the whole team stayed back that night, again, it's what it did for the team and the team morale. And the fact that I was able to create awareness within my business for mental health, and as a leader, to show that I'm out there, leading the way and showing them that, hey, we're all vulnerable to it. We can all be, susceptible to mental health. I think that was a great achievement too by myself and the organisation.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And with Are You OK Day coming up, it's good to get the message out there too.
Fantastic.
Okay, well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Christy. Thank you.
Good luck with your future projects.